Hey guys, what's going on? Rodimus Prime here. It is July 8th, 2022, Friday, and I had an amazing birthday yesterday. Zero complaints. Was blessed to have my family, my girlfriend around me yesterday. It was a great day. Got some very cool things. But regardless, we're not talking about that today. Today, we're talking about, and this is my favorite time of the week, has been my favorite video that I do every week, and that is we are doing our predictions for week 3 of the major 4 of the Call of Duty League. These are the qualifiers. This is the last chance to secure points from online based matches going into champs. After this, there's major 4, and then we have our official champ standings. We will have our top 8 teams. Those 8 will then go on to play each other for the right to call themselves Vanguard champions at the end of this season. I'm going to go ahead and make my predictions today. Think I'm going to basically lay out who I think is going to win, who I think is going to lose. And yeah, but let's get right into this, guys. Let's not wait anymore. When we were looking at this, guys, this is definitely one of the toughest qualifiers I had to actually choose. This one I wanted to be very precise on, as the last two have been gone 5 and 5, and I wanted to actually give a what I thought was a very educated guess. So I went ahead and I looked up a lot of these head-to-heads and a lot of these matchups, and I was very intrigued by what I found. A lot of these teams who are playing in these final week of qualifiers, funny enough, have not played each other that much throughout the entirety of the season. And if they have, it's been 1 or 2 matches. So you're getting teams that haven't really played each other, but there's a lot to play for when looking at these matchups. So it was very fun for me to go through and kind of break down and analyze what I thought would be like the right picks. And the first matchup I had to look at was Faze versus Ravens. Um, Currently sitting right now, London is 3-0 in qualifier standings. They have a 9-3 win-loss count in terms of maps, and they've just been steamrolling most of the teams they've been playing. Faze is sitting at 2-1 with a 7-5 map count, wins and losses. And when I actually looked at the head-to-head here, they have played each other twice this season. The first time they played each other was in losers bracket finals of Major 1, and Faze ended up taking that 3-1. And the other time that they took it was in Major 2 Week 2, and Faze ended up taking that one 3-1 as well. So both times these teams have played each other, it has been the rosters they have currently, and Faze has come out on top both times 3-1. So looking at that, knowing that London is kind of on a hot streak right now, Faze, Optic, these top tier teams, London has always had a problem with. And I haven't seen them play them to a point of where I can say that they can still beat them. So with that being said, I'm going to go off of history. I'm going to go off what I've seen, because these teams are the same iterations that they've played each other beforehand. And looking at that, I'm going to give this one to Atlanta Faze to win this series, and I'm going to give it to what they've won beforehand, which is Faze winning this one 3-1 in our first matchup of Major 4 Week 3 qualifiers. The next one was kind of sad to predict. Paris Legion this week, after not winning any of their qualifiers, has been mathematically eliminated from the championship contention. They will not be going to champs. They will probably be the bottom team in the losers bracket at the 12 seed, and there's not a lot for them to play for. I think that this team is probably going to go through the motions, and Florida still has a chance to make champs, so they need these points. So just looking at all the factors involved, and this is just stop the bleeding, I guess you could say. But I'm going to pick Florida to win this one 3-0. Paris, unfortunately, through this stage of the major, is 0-3. They have a 1-9 map count, 1 win, 9 losses, and they're mathematically eliminated from champs. Unfortunately, it's very hard to get up for a league match when the points don't matter and you feel like crud. Temp's been very disheartened lately. He is the leader, the heart, the soul of that team. And when he's not feeling it, the team's not feeling it. And I just feel bad that this team is where they are right now with champs right around the corner. So Florida takes this one 3-0 and a very sad win. Our final matchup of Friday is going to be good because these teams are right now about an even playing field in terms of how they are playing. Minnesota was very dominant going to the major or going to Major 3 after they went 5-0 in the previous qualifiers. And then in Major 3 they kind of crapped the bed. And Seattle, they are coming off of a Major 3 win. Like, they ended up taking it, were champs of that major, and then they haven't played that great in qualifiers so far. Through the first, few matches of qualifiers, Seattle Surge is sitting at 1-2. They have a 5-6 map count, 5 wins, 6 losses. I think they've kind of rested on the fact that they won Major 3 and thought they were dominant, and I don't think that they've played with the same type of hunger and aggression that they were going into that Major 3. As for Minnesota, this team has also regressed massively. It's 1-2 in terms of win losses, and they are 4-7 in map counts, 4 wins, 7 losses. So both teams have kind of struggled through these first 2 weeks of this Major 4 qualifiers. And with these two teams, when we look at the season, they have played each other one time, and that one time was in week 2 of Major 1. So this is all the way back at the beginning of the season in February. And when they played each other, Seattle ended up taking that 3-2. Now, when looking at just that series, because that's what we have to go off of in head-to-head, this was a Minnesota team that had Major Maniac, and now they have Colt Havoc. So it's a kind of a different team with a little bit more aggression. Seattle is still, though, a major champion. So we have to kind of look at that. If we go head-to-head, if we go map counts, win-loss through these qualifiers, point standings, all that, I think it's going to be a 5-game series. I think that it is going to come down to that final search and destroy. And I think because of Seattle's experience, I think that because they've gone further in these tournaments, I think that gives them a slight edge. With that being said, I'm going to give the edge to Seattle. I think they're going to win this. I think it's going to be 3-2, and they're going to get some points necessary to help secure them the 3rd or 4th spot in champ standings. So should be a very good matchup. And these first day of this first day of this week's qualifiers should be pretty good. So now we move on to day 2. As with every Saturday, there is 4 matches on the day. The first one I'm not going to rest very long on. It's a Minnesota Rocker versus Paris Legion. As it stands right now, Minnesota is sitting right at the bottom of the cutoff line at 120 points. Paris Legion, as I have stated, has been mathematically eliminated from the possibility of making champs. So with that being said, this is going to be a pretty easy win for Minnesota. Even with money being on the line, I don't think Paris even has the want to muster up any sort of effort. I think that Minnesota, they really need these points. And with that being said, I think this one's going to be quick. I'm going to give Paris some credit. They're going to try, but it's still going to be a 3-0 in Minnesota's favor. And Paris is going to be that bottom seed going into this final major. They're going to have made 20 points on the season, going to be a 12 seed. And you just got to hope that Paris goes on a miracle run to try to just at least win a major, and would be the greatest miracle run in the history of Call of Duty if they were to take this team and win a major. They couldn't make champs, but they could at least say that at the end of the year, they tried their very best. So Minnesota's probably going to take this one, though, 3-0 and win this bounty match. In our second matchup of Saturday, this one is definitely going to be a little bit more competitive. We have the Boston Breach taking on the Toronto Ultra. Now, these two teams, are kind of interesting tales right now. There was talks this week with Ultra that Cammy was benched. The reasoning behind that is kind of unsure. I've heard a couple different things, but until a reason is actually released, I don't want to say anything to create a false narrative. But Toronto, through these first few matches of qualifiers, are another team that has kind of been on a down slump since Major 3. They're 1-2, 4-8 in terms of map count, 4 wins, 8 losses, and they have not been playing very well. Even though Toronto, when they are playing at their best, is a top 2 team. On the flip side, Boston, through these qualifiers, has been playing extremely well. They are 3-1, with this being their final qualifier match. Their map count is 9 wins, 7 losses, and Nero and Reese Vivid have looked absolutely great together. That team looks like they're basically gelling on all cylinders. They are playing really well. And the next thing I looked at when talking about these teams is I looked at the head-to-head. And once again, with a lot of these matchups this weekend, these teams haven't played each other very much. The first time they played each other was in Major 1 in Losers Bracket Round 3, and Toronto won that one in a very close series 3-2. And then following it up, they played each other again in Major 2 Week 2 qualifiers, and in that one, which was the final matchup in March of that Saturday, Breach ended up taking it 3-2 on the flip side. So these teams have actually flipped the series 1-1, and it's been close both times. The one factor I would like to point out that was not there during both these matchups is that Capsule was playing for Breach, and now Vivid's playing for Breach. And in my opinion, Vivid is a better fit for Breach than for this version of Breach than Capsule was. And because of that, I think, because this is a coin flip, you got to give the edge to Boston. Boston also needs these points. They are sitting in that dreaded 5th through 8th spot. I mean, and at any point in time, they could lose their footing. So they need these points. And with that being said, I see Toronto not playing as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick Boston Breach to win this matchup. I think it's going to be close like the other ones have been. But I think they take it 3-2 in a very, very good series. Next matchup, which is matchup 3 of Saturday, is Los Angeles Thieves versus Florida Mutineers. And this is going to be another interesting matchup. I know I say that a lot, but this is definitely one of those ones that really has some intrigue to it. Looking at the point standings, LA Thieves is sitting here at the 7th spot with 140 points. Florida is sitting down here at the 10th spot with 120. Either one of these teams need this win. This is a big win for both of them. When looking at the actual standings for the Major 4 qualifier, Thieves has actually been 2-1 through 3 matchups. They have a really good 8 wins to 3 losses map count, and they've been playing fairly well. There was the loss to Boston that they did not look good in. Or no. Yeah, it was the way they beat Boston, excuse me. The way that they've beat Boston, they've done it twice really well. And they've played well when they've played teams that they think that they're better than. When it comes to Florida, on the flip side, they are 1-2, have a 5-6 win-loss count in terms of maps, and it seems like it's the same team with a couple different pieces that they were in before they made the switches that they did. I think that their S&D game has improved dramatically, but I do not think it's enough to deal with Thieves right now. And I think Thieves is playing really, really good up to this point in time. I then had to examine their head-to-head and see if they had played before. And they have played one time this season. And that was in Major 1, Week 2. And Thieves ended up taking that 3-2. And with that being said, and looking at how it's played out so far, I think Thieves is probably going to win this. I think it's going to be another close series. I think they're going to win this one 3-2. But I swear to God, if Octane drops another double burger, oh, I'm just going to be so frustrated, especially if it's an S&D. So I'm hoping to goodness that LA Thieves does what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to win this one 3-2 and get another 10 points and 10K, or not 10K, or get them the 10 points and put them in a better position in the standings. And in our final matchup of Saturday, and it is a good one, we've got a rematch of the Major 3 Grand Finals. Seattle Surge taking on Atlanta Faze. This is also a $10,000 bounty match, so money is on the line, as well as pride. We look at the point standings right now. Atlanta Faze is sitting comfortable at the top of the pack, 280 CDL points. Seattle is sitting in third with 185. Looking at qualifier standings, Atlanta Faze is 2-1, 7-5 map count, 7 wins, 5 losses. On the flip side, Seattle 1-2 map count, 5 wins, 6 losses. I'm looking at both these teams and how they're playing right now. If I looked at their head-to-head throughout the season, it would be even, pretty much. Seattle has always given Faze problems, always. And I think that Faze is definitely going to have to step up and do some things in this series to beat them, because I think in some ways Seattle is kind of one of those teams that when Faze plays them, there's almost a little bit of a mental edge. The same could be said to Optic as well, because Optic also is one of those teams that I feel holds a little bit of a mental edge over Faze, specifically for this game. With that being said, I think Faze does discover what they need to beat Surge. I think that they use this win to propel them to what I think is going to be an eventual Major 4 win for them. That's a little spoiler. I think Faze beats Surge, and I think they beat them 3-1. I think that this is kind of a little bit of a statement win for them. I think this kind of puts Faze in a position to move forward in Major 4. And I think Major 4 is going to be a very, very good major, and I'm excited for it. And I think Faze is going to look good when they get there. So I think Faze takes this. I think they beat Surge 3-1. Next up, we have Sunday in our final day of qualifiers, final day of qualifiers for the season. We started out with Los Angeles Guerrillas playing London Royal Ravens. We look at both these teams in terms of qualifier standings. Ravens is sitting at 3-0, 9-3 win-loss count, map wins, map losses. On the flip side, LAG is 1-3, 7 wins, 10 losses in terms of map count. And these two teams are playing in different directions. London is definitely trending upward with Gizmo coming back. He provides them with that boost that they need to be that team that they were, that top 3 team. And I think Los Angeles Guerrillas is kind of in turmoil. They made a team change a few times throughout the season, and because that they have not really been able to develop that team chemistry that you need from a full season of playing together to eventually win a title. When looking at the fact that I personally think London is just playing that much better, I really don't think it's going to be close. This one I didn't really need to analyze the matchups to really know where my heart was telling me. And my heart is telling me that London's going to win this. And London's going to win this 3-1. Unfortunately, LAG is going to be the second team that is going to be in that bottom elimination bracket. They're going to be 1-4. And they're going to probably be the 11 seed. It's sad to say, but I don't think LAG is going to make champs either. I think, and when you really think about what that means, a Major 2 champion will not make champs this year. If you had started the season and predicted that and said that, people would have thought you were crazy. But honestly, the way things are going, it's not looking good for LAG. They need these points, and they need to try to win this, but honestly, I think London's got their number, and I think London's going to win it 3-1. Next up, in a very, very good matchup, we have Optic Texas, the number 2 overall team in the CDL right now, playing Toronto Ultra. Now, if this was a couple weeks ago, I would have had a lot harder time making this pick. But with seeing everything that I've seen, I think Optic has lost a little bit of confidence. I think that this is a team that Illy was the glue that held them together. And when he got his injury and was out forever, they said to themselves, oh, it's okay. We'll play with these people. And when Illy comes back, we'll be the same dominant team we were. And Illy's come back, and they have not been that team. And I think it shook him a little bit. I think it's a little bit hurting of the confidence. And I'm not saying that these guys lack the confidence in their ability. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the confidence is shaken in terms of the dominance. I think that the reason that Optic was such a good team is that when they were winning these games, they just felt like they couldn't be touched. Even when they would take a loss, they still felt like, we're going to do this. And I think that this is something that they're going to need to address and figure out how to overcome, because they do not have an easy way coming up the next couple weeks. Points are not going to come easy, and they may not make it far in this next major. So with that being said, and just looking at everything, Toronto needs these points. They are sitting at the 6th spot with 150, and they cannot afford to lose a match, because that opens the door for Thieves, that opens the door for Subliners, that opens the door for every one of these teams underneath them. So with that being said, I think I'm going to take Toronto to win this. And I think what's going to end up happening is it's going to be what I've seen from Optic the last couple weeks. Optic loses that first respawn, that first hard point. They take the S&D. They lose the control, which Optic was the best team at control. Could not lose it, and now they can't win a control. And then I think they're going to lose that final hard point. And I think Toronto's going to take it 3-1. And with that being said, for the first time all season, Optic is going to be sitting at 1-4. And they're going to be in the losers bracket going into Major 4. And if you were to tell me that the number 2 team in the CDL overall with 235 points and a 21-10 map win-loss record was going to be in the elimination bracket going to Major 4, I would laugh at you. But this is where we are. This is Vanguard. So, and our final matchup for Major 4 Week 3 qualifiers. This is the final qualifier matchup of this CDL season in 2022. And it's apropos of who it is. It's the Los Angeles Thieves versus the New York Subliners. New York is the home team for this upcoming Major 4. They are currently the best team in these Major 4 qualifiers. They are sitting at 40 points, undefeated, top of the heap, with a 12-win, 4-loss map count. That is a great win-loss in terms of map count. Only to be tied by the London Royal Ravens. These two teams have played outstanding through these qualifiers. And just looking at this one was pretty easy. NYSL has been the most dominant team since the beginning of these qualifiers. They have played well, they have played their game, and they have improved every time I've been seeing them play. I feel if NYSL had this roster at the beginning of the season, they would probably be in a much higher position than they are now. As I feel that they have more drive going right now, and as I feel they have more to their name and more to what's going on, I think that they need this. I think they're going to take it, because if you look at the point standings here, they're at 110, and getting this puts them at 120, tying them up with Minnesota and Florida. And at that point in time, it's up to New York. You've done the first part of this. The first part of this for them was getting these 5 wins. Because when we started this, they were at 70 points. If they pull off 5 wins and get to 120, they have done the best possible chance they can to get in champs. And at that point in time, it's just playing well in the major, which I think they will do. I think that they're going to jump both Florida, Minnesota, and LA, and get into that 8th spot. And I think it's going to be through this major. But with that being said, I think NYSL beats LAT 3-1. And I think they go 5-0 in these qualifiers. And then hopefully they transfer that to LAN and they play well. So we'll see what happens. It should be very interesting. These qualifiers look like they're going to be awesome. Be great matchups, hopefully, the entire weekend. We're very lucky to be getting these kind of matchups towards the end of the season. And we'll see if my picks are right. But yeah, that's going to be my picks for week 3 of the qualifiers for Major 4. But all right, that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. As always, the opinions stated in this video are my own, so you don't gotta agree with them. But I appreciate you sitting through the entirety of the video. Before you go, if you could do me just one more small favor, if you could please like the video and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And as always, I will see you all on Monday.